story timers! It's your favorite story timer, Annie! And her best pal, E. And today we're gonna be reading, drum roll please, Shadow Jumper!
Wow, I can't wait to see what happens next! Can you? I wonder, does Beth find her,
rucksack?
rucksack? Ooh, let's find out.
So today we're going to be reading chapter 9. If you have this book at home, why not go grab it so we can read together? So, chapter 9. He scrambled up the steep pitch, a forest of tall chimneys surrounding him on all sides. He could feel the smooth slates under his fingers. Above him, dark rolling clouds. And then he slipped, skidding down towards the roof edge. Slowly at first, and then faster and faster. He thrashed about, trying to grasp the slippery surface with his oily fingertips. A scream formed on his lips. He plummeted into the blackness. Jack! He prized his eyelids open. Aunt Lil's sitting room came into focus. Beth crouched next to him, hands on his shoulders. What's the matter? He moaned, still half asleep. Get up, we've got to go. His back and shoulders ached from sleeping on the sofa, and the side of his head was throbbing again from where he'd banged it on the bus window. His fingertips traced a lump the size of an egg under his hair. Where to? He stretched, feeling the bones in his back crack as he did so. As Beth's gaze drifted over his bare chest, ooh, he quickly pulled the rumpled sheet up, a flush creeping across his cheeks. Why hadn't he brought something to wear in bed? Beth quickly glanced away. Bus station, you remember. I've got to find my rucksack. Jack looked at his watch. It's not even 7 o'clock. Lost property won't be open yet. He peered at Beth, taking in her tousled black hair and the bags under her eyes. He was not the only one to have had trouble sleeping. She sat back on her heels. I don't care. I want to get going. Why are you bothered about your bag, anyway? He asked, as with one hand he groped around the floor for his top. It's only stuff. That's so typical of a boy. It's got personal things in it. I bet you wouldn't like it if your things went missing. I guess you're right. He unfolded his cramped legs and sat up. But I'm starving. Let's grab something to eat first. Then we can think about how we're going to get over there. I'll skip breakfast, said Beth, as she left the room. It won't make lost property open any quicker, Jack called after her, and then shrugged. He really wanted to talk to Aunt Lil about Dad. Beth would have to wait to find her rucksack or do it by herself. After finding his jeans and pulling on socks, he went into the kitchen, accepting Beth to have gone off alone to the station. To his surprise, she was leaning against the worktop, eating some toast. Aunt Lil served up a huge mound of scrambled eggs and bacon on toast for him, and he sat down and tucked in. Now how come you two turned up on my doorstep in the middle of the night? Said Aunt Lil, as Jack scraped the last morsel of toast around his plate, soaking up the ketchup and popping it into his mouth. Because Mum said you'd heard from Dad, said Jack. That's right. What's this about? He's gone missing, said Beth, before Jack had a chance to open his mouth. If that was her way of trying to get him to hurry, it wasn't going to work. He can't have disappeared since I spoke to him 2 nights ago, surely, said Aunt Lil, sounding faintly surprised. Jack glared at Beth, who stood tapping her fingers on the worktop and pointedly glancing at the clock on the wall. He's not exactly missing, although we don't know where he is. Did he tell you where he's working? I'm afraid I didn't ask, and Tom being Tom didn't volunteer the information. Let's hope he's happier now he's got another research post. Perhaps he'll start taking his responsibilities more seriously. Aunt Lil smiled gently at him. You know your dad. He lives for his work. He needs it like he needs air to breathe. This new job will help him settle down again. I shouldn't worry about him. I'm sure he'll be in touch soon, Jack. Jack wished he could be as sure about everything as Aunt Lil. Didn't Dad used to work around here? He did, yes, she said. Is it worth me going to speak to one of his old colleagues? They might have more info. But he wouldn't go back after that terrible business. What terrible business? Oh dear. Aunt Lil looked flustered and got up from the table with the toast rack in her hand. I thought they'd have told you about it. You've got to tell me now, Aunt Lil. What terrible business? He repeated impatiently. Aunt Lil put the rack on the worktop and looked at him. I don't suppose it'll do any harm, you knowing. It was a long time ago. Your dad had a job at a facility called Bioscience Discoveries. Is it a research lab? Said Beth. Yes, and Tom was an eminent scientist. He worked on developing various drugs to do with, what was it? I've got a newspaper clipping here somewhere with the details. She poked around in one of the dresser drawers and finally brought out an envelope. She handed it to Jack. He even won a prize. Ambitious, that's what he used to be. Jack peered inside the envelope and fetched a tatty piece of newspaper, yellowed with age. He glanced at the date, 18th June 1997, 2 years before he was born. Local scientists win prestigious award, was printed in large, bold letters. He read the short article aloud. A leading scientist at Bioscience Discoveries, Collarford, has won an international award for his outstanding contribution to science over the past 10 years. Dr. Tom Phillips is being recognized for his research into liver disease. He has worked for Bioscience Discoveries for the last 2 years and is now heading a group of scientists in pioneering work related to aging. He is using his knowledge of how the liver regenerates to aid the development of a serum that will help the body rapidly create new cells to replace old and sick ones. These new cells will work to keep the body's organs young. The expectation is that in the future, an 80-year-old man or woman could have the body of a 20-year-old. Wow. Of the award company director, Mr. Richard Blackstone said, "We're always pleased when one of our staff members wins an award. Dr. Phillips is a valuable member of the team and an outstanding scientist. The board congratulates him on his success." Dr. Tom Phillips, clearly delighted, said, "It was a great surprise and honor to learn that I have won this award, especially for something I love doing." Now, they weren't actually speaking. I just decided to change the voice to make it sound more fun. A picture underneath the article showed a younger dad and another man, presumably Blackstone, dressed in a dark suit. A smiling woman was shaking Dad's hand and handing him a square-shaped box and envelope. It may have been the poor quality of the newspaper picture, but to Jack, Richard Blackstone resembled a toad. He was short, squat, with a square-shaped head and blotchy skin. His smirking mouth sliced across his face, splitting into two uneven parts. Below his chin, a bulge of flesh billowed out like a kind of pouch. It looked as though his head rested on his shoulders, without the support of a neck. Dad looked like a giant beanpole standing next to him. "How cool to have a dad who's won an award," said Beth, staring at the photo. "I read about the liver in one of my science books. It's the one organ in the body which can repair itself when it's damaged. You know, it creates new cells or something like that." I never knew he'd won an award, Jack wondered. What else he didn't know? And he's never talked about working on an anti-aging drug. I mean, that's huge. Why has he never mentioned it? Aunt Lil sighed. "All I know is that everything suddenly changed 2 years later, when you must have been, about 5 months old. Your dad rang me and said he was leaving the company. By the next morning, your parents had packed up and left town with you." "Why?" asked Jack. Why did they leave? And that's where we're going to stop today. On a cliffhanger. So, E, what do you think?
Why would you stop on a cliffhanger?
Page 67. Now, this seems to be the end. Tune in next time for more awesome adventures to Anytime Storytime and her appalled pal, E. Goodbye, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.